Okay, this is going to be an edited version of my previous videos. This is going to be how to remove a tile floor and replace it with an engineered click lock. Some people call these floating floor. This is a real wood floor. This is an engineered floor. So here we go. Okay, so day one, I started out by removing all of the trim and anything that I wanted to save, clearing the area out and getting a start on the demolition. I wanted to get a start, taking a look at what I had, what the job was going to entail. And here you can see that I'm removing this first tile floor, and underneath that tile floor was another masonry tile floor. So I ended up with 3 masonry floors to go through, and the concrete backer board, a subfloor for a masonry, actual masonry board. So then I had to clean the area out. This is the kitchen area you're looking at. So I had to remove all the appliances and get behind all the appliances and see what was going to entail for removing those and getting those out of the way to replace the floor. So all my demolition was done here in the kitchen, and what happened, there was areas of the floor where the tile board was destroyed, so it had to be replaced in order to give me one even level. So you could see in that earlier picture where I had replaced that subfloor to get everything up at the same level. And here I've already put in the underlayment, and I've started putting in this click lock floor. Now I'll go into more detail when we get out into the dining room. I'm just showing you what went on in this kitchen. So in this kitchen here, I am starting the click lock. And one thing to remember when you're laying the click lock floor like this, especially one with planks like this, that you never want to have. You see the mistake here? Where you see the arrow there, it's a big mistake. I have 2 equal lengths boards coming together. And so that's gonna be a big mistake, because then this click lock floor loses all of its strength. Loses all of its friction, because it's held together by friction. It's held together by the force of all of the boards pressing against each other. So when you have these come together like that, it loses it all. And you can see where I kicked it in the shot before. So I even noticed it, and I meant to go back and fix it, and I did. But I got much further along on laying this floor before I fixed it. And what happens is, if you get too far along, then you might end up having to replace, you might have to pull up half of this floor to offset this thing. Now I'm using Pergo Floormate brand underlayment in this area. Actually, on this whole job, I do the whole, cover the whole floor with this brand. And you'll see in the dining room, in the next room, that I actually use another board, another underlayment, also a cork floor, and it worked out really nice. So here we go, moving right along, and yeah, this is a really stupid thing I did. You can see I'm cutting this. I'm using a circular saw, and I'm cutting too close to my leg, and you just really shouldn't do that. I actually ended up getting a pretty bad cut here, but not from the circular saw. It was actually from the multi-tool right here. Right here, I get a really bad cut. I didn't even know these things could cut you, but it did. It went into my fingernail, and it was a pretty bad cut. So be careful using these multi-purpose tools there. I didn't know they could cut you, but they certainly can. So I'm using the multi-purpose tool to cut, trim, and do the absolute finish work here. And that's a real good use of this tool. I find that it's cutting small little sections of trim. The multi-purpose tool does a really fine job at doing this. It's actually what it's designed to do, things like that. So we're finishing out this area, and remember, cleaning these areas up is crucial to a good job. What happens is if you get dirt under as you do your demo that you don't know is in certain places, it gets pulled out as you're putting the floor down, and it gets under the floor, it gets under the underlayment, and in certain floors it can cause your floor to just not work at all, because it won't hold together if it has any kind of your underlayment is too thin and your floor adhesion area is too thin, your lock is too thin. A piece of debris under it will keep it from locking. So here we go on day 4. This is demolition on the dining room. And I had a 20-yard dumpster outside, and I busted this concrete up. I busted the tile out, and I shoveled it out the window. And from there, I wheelbarrowed it over to the dumpster. I had the front of the dumpster open, and I rolled it into the dumpster and got rid of it. Now, I'm going to run into a problem here that was unforeseen, and this is where you should always make sure you take a lot of time to, and here again, cleaning is crucial to a good job. Just keeping the general area in good shape and clean. But make sure that you plan the job out and really think about your levels and your underlayment and which way you're going to run the floor. This caused some problems for me. I used the masonry board, backer board, in the kitchen. And remember, I replaced the areas that were damaged. Now, as you can see, this board, this masonry backer board, underlayment, underfloor, subfloor, as you can see, it is just destroyed in this area, and it's not going to be able to be used again. So I have to take it all up in this area. This takes me a couple of days to do, because whoever laid this stuff down, they laid it down right. They put a nail every 2 square inches. So I had to get all these nails up. I had to get all this concrete board out, all of this masonry tile out. And this is going to change the level of my floor also. Because there are so many floors in this room, when I take these floors out, it's going to put my baseboards too high and my doors too high. So the only thing to do would be completely replace all the baseboards and all the trim and all the door casings, and replace all the doors, or bring the floor back up to a close enough level where putting the new floor down will put it close to an area where it was before. And that's the route I ended up going with this. I end up putting down a cork board, a cork underlayment. So it's a cork foam underlayment. I put it on top of the Pergo underlayment. And that brings it up to a close enough level where I can kind of split the difference. And here we are already in day 5, and I'm still getting this. I'm still doing the demolition work on this job. This ended up being a bigger job than I had counted on. So always make sure that you put in a little extra time. For instance, I had the dumpster for a set amount of time, so I had to make sure that I was going to have it long enough to do all the demolition work. I did. I had the dumpster for 10 days, and it took me until the 10th day to get all of this debris out of the house, and all of the wood, trim, everything, all the cardboard, everything that was left from this job. So it took me until the last day that I had the dumpster. So here you can go. Here you go. I've gotten the demolition completely finished. I've started using the Pergo underlayment again. Now I end up going all over this dining room floor with this Pergo underlayment, and then you'll see here in just a minute, you'll see this cork underlayment that I go with also. Now here's the problem. Because I went with the concrete tile backer in the kitchen, this floor in the dining room is not going to be the same level as the floor in the kitchen. So I can have a transition piece here, and that's what I'm going to do. But I want it to get the floor all one level. It ends up working out okay anyway, because the frame that's in the door frame that's in the shot there, the first shot, that is a bathroom, and it is at the same level that the kitchen is at. I'm not replacing that because that room has already been replaced, and it was replaced with a tile floor. So I think I'm going to, in the future, replace that with the same floor that's in the rest of this area. So I probably will be removing all of that, and I will be getting that to the same level. Eventually, I may go ahead and pull everything out of the kitchen again and redo it, because I would like to have this all one level. I think it just makes for a better job. But because I didn't know exactly what I was getting into with this job, I couldn't prepare for it properly, and this is what I ended up with. But all in all, the two floors off of the main floor are one level, and all the main floor is one level. And here you get a first look at the cork underlayment that I was telling you about, and I'll get a name for you and try to get it in the description. It's really good stuff. This stuff is really easy to lay, and it gives your floor a really good feel. Feels good under your feet. So here's a good look at it. It's a good, clean, easy to install. It gives a good, clean, solid finish. Seals everything up real nice. I can't say anything any more about this. This stuff is really good stuff, and I do suggest that you use this if this will work for you. It's not any more costly than the other stuff. Actually, I think it's maybe cheaper than the other stuff, and it seems to be a better product. So here I'm moving on with the installing the underlayment and getting a good look at the job that's ahead of me. Now, if I was just keeping the level and that's all I had to do, the original underlayment that I was using, the Pergo, it would have done a fine job, and it's really easy to install. Also, it comes pre-marked with your lines and grid. It just is easy stuff to put in, really easy stuff to put in. And again, remember, cleaning is crucial to a good job. This is one of those areas where I was telling you about. This is a corner that still had some debris left in it. And as I was moving around, this debris popped out of the corner that was back in behind the wall, and it popped out and got on the floor. And if this would have been a thin one of the thin rubberized backing floors, any type of the debris that was put in this floor would not have allowed the click to work. So you would have had an uneven spot on the floor, and the floor would not have laid down correctly. So this shows you how cleaning is so important. So I'm moving on with the first underlayment, and I can't say enough about this stuff either. It's also a good product, but this ECF, I think it's Echo Cork foam, I think is what it's called. It just really is a good product. But anyway, I'm moving on with it, and you'll see if you look in this back corner right here where I'm working, this is a good 2 inches lower in this corner than where let's say where the roll is laying right now. It's a good 2 inches lower in that corner than where that roll was laying. So I'm going to have to make up some kind of a difference here and raise that corner a little bit, and to bring this floor to where it will lay correctly or look correctly. So here we are in day 6. I have all the underlayment down. The floor is sealed up good. I think I'm moving right along, and I'm getting all of my materials out. I take a quick look, and right where the floor meets the bathroom masonry floor, I haven't cleared that completely out, and I need to start there because I need a good straight line in this room. You want these boards to be square, and in order for it to be square, I have to start pulling this, cleaning this floor out there. And also, you see, I use the weight of the materials to hold the floor. So as I use these wood planks and the boards, I put the stack of materials where I have started, and that's going to keep the boards from moving as you move along. It's going to keep them from shifting and get a floor that's crooked. So the weight of that, it's still going to move some. You got to be real careful, and you'll see I'm doing another no-no here. I'm doing something that I should have never done. I know better, but I put in enough floors. I went ahead and did it without it. I did not use the spacers. You should use the spacers on these floors because you do need that space. This floor needs to move. It is, some people call these floating floors. It's because it is a floating floor. It needs to move. It needs to expand and contract. It needs to move as the floor beneath it gives and moves. And if you don't, you're going to have a buckled floor. So there's some of the tools that are used to install one of these floors. It is a rubber block, and there's a metal, it's like a pull bar, and that is used to hammer against. And I use a dead blow hammer or a rubber mallet. And what this does, the metal piece goes in, and then you can pry or hammer on the other end of it. You can get a good look at these tools at Harbor Freight. That's the place I've found them, where they're least expensive. I think it was only $12 or $13 for the whole set of tools for putting these floors in. These are very specialized tools that are used for putting one of these floors in. I would suggest, matter of fact, you have to pick up a set of these tools, and then it comes with spacers. And again, I'm noting that I did not use the spacers, and I should have. And I knew better. I should have. But go pick up that special set of tools. You can get it at Harbor Freight. That's where I found them to be least expensive. Pick those up there. You will need them. So floor's moving right along now. Something to think about with a floor is the pattern. Now, this floor is more of a natural, true wood on the surface. So it's going to have very little repeating pattern. But other floors are printed, so they're only going to have 7 or 8 different boards. A lot of these floors only have 7 or 8, maybe 9 different boards to choose from. And if you're not careful, you're going to repeat these same printed boards in the wrong spots, and it's going to look really bad. Now, I didn't have to worry about it as much here. You could run into somewhere where the natural wood was repeated, where it was sliced on the grain. Now, if you are installing one of those other floors with a printed pattern, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open as many boxes as you can, and you're going to want to separate these repeating patterns into piles. And you want to make sure that you pull from a different pile each time you lay a plank, and you want to make sure as you lay a plank beside each other that it's not one of those same patterns. And that is a must if you're doing one of these repeating pattern floors. You're going to want to open the boxes, sort those patterns out, and use these at different times and make sure that you don't repeat the pattern. So I'm moving right along here, and this particular type of floor comes with different size planks. Some of them are quarter planks, some are half, and some are full. And then when you start at the beginning of each row, you're going to want to use a different size board, and you're going to want to alternate this all the way through the process so that you don't end up with 2 boards of the same length together. Once again, that's when you lose strength in your floor, and you lose that adhesion value, that friction. We're moving right along. The dog's getting a good rest. That's Ayla. She's getting a rest here. And again, we're going to make sure that you keep the area clean. And I'm cleaning again. Same thing. I don't want to get anything under this floor that is going to either make noises, that's either going to crunch. That's another reason for having an underlayment, is that gives dirt and material particles somewhere to embed. The job that I did before this job, and it's about this time last year, I installed a very durable plastic-based floor, vinyl-based floor with a rubber backing. Now, this is another lesson to learn. I learned a lot of lessons doing this floor. First of all, don't trust salesmen. The salesmen are going to tell you you don't need an underlayment with these floors because they come with a foam backing. That just isn't true. It's not enough of a backing for these types of inconsistencies and material to embed, and for you to deal with any inconsistencies in the floor. So don't believe the salesman. They're there to sell you the floor. They don't even know how to install these floors generally. So any type of floor that you lay, put an underlayment under it. Doesn't matter if it has that foam on it or not. You need to put an underlayment under it. And for one reason is for dirt to embed, and that way you don't have the sound of the crunching under your floor or squeaking, and you can deal with any inconsistencies in the level, and your floor will lock, because that's the problem. It won't lock and it won't lay if the floor gets too far off and you don't have a good underlayment under it. So here we are in day 7, coming right along now. We're moving along now. Going to be dealing with just a few long runs here, and most of this is all going to be cut in, and that's where you get into some problems sometimes. But Just take your time. Use a gauge. Use one of those devices where you can copy a corner or a cut. One of those tools are great for doing cut in and trim. Now I finished the job up on day 7, and on day 8, to really finish this job off, I repainted these bottom walls, and I re-caulked everything. Because the demolition was so involved, there ended up being some holes in the walls, and I got some nicks from tools, and things were just really dirty. So the only way to really finish this job off and to make it pop was to repaint this white. And this white repaint, it really pops good against this wood floor. I did also, I went ahead and replaced those floor heat air registers. I replaced those with a white, and it really made a difference. Made the job look much better and much more finished. Normally I don't use any type of tape or anything to do a paint job, but on a new floor I thought it was best, so I did that. And if you notice this trim here at the bottom of this door, now these were too short. This trim was too short, but you can buy these blocks, accent blocks. They're meant for fluted doors, fluted trim, and they're a little bit wider than the trim on the door. All you have to do is put those in place, mark how far they come up, set them against the floor, set them on the door trim, and mark where they come up. Saw that off and pull the rest of that old trim off, equal to the length of that new piece you're putting in, and you just put that fancy piece of fluted trim at the bottom of these this door casing, the trim, and that's a way you can finish off these doors that are now too short. So there you go. You can see there in that shot, you can see that it goes all the way to the floor now, and it has a good finished, clean look to it. And it even has a little bit of a fancy circle or design in it. It looks pretty good. Most people won't even notice it. There's no other way besides replacing all of the trim or the door casing itself. There's no other way to fix this when you have a floor that doesn't come up as high. Now I did save all of my quarter round. So when I took the quarter round up, what you do when you take the quarter round up, flip it over, start at one point in your room, and that's where you're going to start when you put it back. And when I took it off, put number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, I marked it all the way around. And when I go to put it back on, I just flip it over, put it back on. Now I do have a nailer for this job. It is an air operated nailer. Most people have the battery operated nailers. It doesn't matter, you can use either one, just some type of a nailer to put this stuff back up. You can also nail it by hand, but then you're gonna have to go in and countersink these nails and fill them in and all that. You see the trim there? That's what I was talking about. That's what I did with that door, what I did with that frame, and it turned out really nice. That is an option. I don't know any other way other than that to fix these spots. Now, if you look at that closet door there, it doesn't quite come down far enough. Now, I am going to replace that door eventually, but it looks just fine. Most people won't notice it. I notice it because I know it's there, and I just told you about it. It's probably the reason you noticed it, but it doesn't look bad. All in all, it doesn't look bad. And I did replace that register there, like I was saying. And now I'm going through and just double checking the feel of the floor. Okay, so this job was much bigger than I would suggest any do-it-yourselfer do on the weekend or in any way, really. There was just too much demolition involved. There's too many problems with height of the floor, things like that. So generally, if you have a good solid floor under the floor that you're going to lay, and you know what you're getting into, you don't have a whole lot of demolition to do, or just one small kitchen or a bathroom, I would suggest that you do your research, look into what you're going to be doing, look up YouTube videos, and I think you'll be okay. I think pretty much anybody can lay one of these floors as long as it doesn't involve all of this demo and all these odd heights of floors and things like that. So I hope I've helped you with showing you how I did this floor, give you a few little tips and tricks and things that I've learned along the way. I hope that it helps. And with that, that's the way I do it. We'll see you next time.